In this video, we'll be looking at the multinomial theorem with exponent 2. I'm going to look at the first example of a plus b quantity squared. We know that's a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. I'm going to rewrite this as a squared plus b squared plus 2ab. And now I can have a good understanding of what's happening. Because I noticed that whatever is inside the parentheses is the first thing that gets squared. And then finally, for the last term, I make groups of 2 of what's inside the parentheses. And when I make these groups, I multiply them. So the only 2 terms in the parentheses is a and b. So that's going to be one group of 2. And I'm going to multiply that. And I'm always going to have a 2 in front when the exponent is 2. The number of groups is always going to be the number of terms, choose 2. So I'm taking n terms, and I'm choosing 2. So that'll be the number of groups. So let's use this idea for the next example. What if I have 3 terms now? I have a plus b plus c squared. Step 1 is to square everything inside the parentheses. Step 2, let's make groups of 2. In this example, I have 3 terms in the parentheses. I'm going to make groups of 2. So that's going to be 3 total groups of 2. For these groups of 2, I'm going to start with A. So one group will be AB. The other group is going to be AC. And the last group is going to be BC. With all of these groups, I need to have a coefficient of 2. So that's how we do it when there are 3 terms. What if we extend this to 4 terms? So in this example, I'll have a plus b plus c plus d quantity squared. The process remains the same. We want to first start by squaring everything inside the parentheses. In the second step, I'm going to be making groups of 2. Right now there's 4 terms. I'm going to make groups of 2. So 4 choose 2 is 6. That means there's going to be 6 groups of 2. I want to first get all my groups that involve A. And I'm going to put a 2 in front for each group. So it's going to be 2AB, 2AC, 2AD, and now all my groups of A's are done. So we move on to B. There's a group already with AB, so I'm going to start with C. So it'll be 2BC, 2BD, and that's all my groups of B's. I move on to C. The only group is 2CD. And that's all 6 terms. All right, let's go one more, and we'll be looking at 5 terms. I want to use the same exact process to expand this out. I'm going to start out by squaring everything inside the parentheses. And then I'm going to be forming my groups of 2. Because I chose 5 terms, I expect there to be 5 choose 2 groups of 2, which in this case is 10. I'm going to start with my A and be making groups of 2 with A. So it'll be 2AB, 2AC, all the way out to 2AE. When A is completed, I'll be moving out to B. We start with 2BC and end up at 2BE. And next we go on to C. 2CD and 2CE. And finally, we end at D. It's only 2DE. So at this point, we have all our groups of 10. or 10 groups of 2. So we can expand this further with more terms, but there's no need to do that. So the next thing we're going to consider is what happens if we change the terms inside. So let's change a coefficient for one of these terms. So we're going to change it to a fraction. We can change it to a negative number. So let's consider all those cases. What changes? We'll start off only with 3 terms for the purpose of these examples, just to keep it simpler and not get too crowded. So the first example will be a minus 2b plus 3c, quantity squared. So I want to keep in mind that each term is a, negative 2b, and 3c. Okay, so that's what each term is. I want to group the negative. Okay, that's really important. I have to be grouping the negative with the 2b. Okay, so I'm going to be squaring each one of those terms. Okay, once I square everything, I'm going to be grouping these. So there's 3 terms. 3 choose 2 is 3. So there's going to be 3 total groups of 2. So let's multiply by 2 first. And I'm going to do AB, then A's and the C's. Okay, so A's are done. And then finally we go on to the B's and the C's. All right, last step, let's simplify this. We have a squared plus 4b squared plus 9c squared minus 4ab plus 6ac. And the last row is negative 4b, or actually negative 12bc. So that's my final answer. So this one was, if we're looking at a negative or a coefficient that is not a fraction. So an integer, in other words. Okay, so let's look at a fraction now. How does that work? We'll have 1/2 a minus 3/4 b plus 1/7 c. And we're going to square this. First step, let's square everything inside the parentheses. So the first term will be 1/2 a. The next one, remember, we want to keep the negative. It's negative 3/4 b. And the last one is 1/7 c. So step 1 is complete. Step 2, let's make groups of 2. So remember, every group of 2 we need to multiply by 2. So let's get all the A's and the B's. And then the A's and the C's. Oops. Let's try that again. So it's 2 times all the A's and the C's. And the last one will be the B's and the C's. All right, so all that's left to do is to simplify. So we'll just be going step by step each term and just simplifying it. And when we do that, we get a squared over 4 plus 9 over 16 b squared plus c squared over 49 minus 3/4 ab plus ac over 7 minus 3 over 14 bc. And that's what my final answer is. So we can use the same logic to for anything that has power of 2. So next video we'll be looking at higher exponents.